Hello, this is Farrell Vincent, coming to you today with part 2 of the Holy Trinity for Guild versus Guild, but the Holy Trinity is a gaming phrase, really. And a disclaimer that I want to give at each piece of this particular setup, series, whatever you want to call it, is really that I am going to give you information based on my experience. And I am not going to shy away from heroes that are kind of almost considered borderline taboo. I've noticed a tendency within a lot of content creators that they want to make the most free to play setup possible. And free to play is generally considered like epic heroes or common bucket heroes. I've heard that phrase a lot. And I'm not going to go into that because if you are pushing into Overlord for Guild versus Guild and you are a top 1% player, you're not most people. So you got here for a reason. And that reason is you have good gear and you have decent heroes. Because you need both in order to really progress in Guild versus Guild. Deal? Deal. So, part 2. The heart of the Holy Trinity. And it feels weird to say Holy Trinity when there's like 3 different buttons that go into the next video. Ironically, those 3 buttons are going to be like the longest but also easiest section to talk about, in my opinion, because understanding what a healer does is a lot easier than understanding what a DPS does. And that might seem weird because DPS stands for damage per second, healer. Some people say HPS. I don't bother with that because this game rarely ever uses HPS. Most of the time it is heal them up immediately after their one-shot mechanic. But that's beside the point. When it comes to Guild versus Guild, there's a handful of healers that I consider to be some of the best. And then there's a bunch of healers that you can use. And I feel like there's a general sentiment that agrees with what I would consider to be the best. But I feel like me personally, I prioritize certain ones over the others. Without a doubt, one of the greatest healers is Lily, because of something that every healer should bring, or you should be considering, is their versatility for the composition that you have. The reason why Lily is on that easily best is because A, she's an epic, so she's hella easy to get, and epics are just easy to get all of their awakenings. The epic hero soulstones drop enough that even the most rare of heroes you don't have to get multiple copies of. And I mean, I have like 2 just sitting there waiting for the day I get there on a Odyssey, right? All of these healers, that wouldn't be hard to, star up. I mean, obviously my Dan, I could literally, if I had a new one, could get her up to 3 right away. Heck, I even have 2 copies of Lily. But Lily is great with just her base skills, and she gets a tiny bit better with awakenings. Prevents incoming fatal damage 1 time for an ally in range. Gets him a shield. Happens once a minute. Super easy. Yes, I am skimming through the 55 seconds. We could get, persnickety. But it's very rare that you're waiting for that last second. And if you are, pray. Again, you can actually see all of the most relevant awakenings right here on the skill, because guess what? Everything is basically put into the passive, not the main thing. It has literally 2 awakenings built just for the passive and 1 at A5 that goes to the ultimate. I'm just saying, is this truly the ultimate? No, that is. But if this was actually the ultimate, that'd be really easy to break. Story for another day. So, why is this utility perfect? Is because in Guild versus Guild, damage is exceptionally high. Even with a good, phenomenal tank build, damage is high. So preventing incoming fatal damage is great. Unfortunately, this is completely useless. Why? If your DPS are getting hit and dying and this is going off, things went wrong. You didn't build right. And you definitely don't need your tanks to have more attack. But that's okay. Because at the very least, when you get them revived, you can give them a wonderful heal over time. So A1, amazing. A3, kind of useless for Guild versus Guild. It is decent in other content. Just in Guild versus Guild doesn't really help you. A5 is awesome. Because, well, now you also have an immunity for 5 seconds, which gives you extra time while the ultimate is active, which therefore means you then want to have the ultimate up as much as possible. Pretty simple. I don't have the other resurrection healer. Unfortunately, RNGesus has not blessed me with the best healer for Guild versus Guild, in my opinion, and especially for my account. You can see which chaotic units I'm missing, and you will immediately understand who I want the most. They're here. I'd be okay with Cade. I know he's useful in certain content, and if Ingrid ever gets nerfed, I'd love it. But Carnelian, without a doubt, would be amazing, because again, she has that anti-death. She stops people from dying. Unyielding, which is like the old school way of saying they don't die for 5 seconds. So, one of 2 healers that grants that, her and Lily. And the cool thing about Carnelian, she can do it to more than one person at a time, so guess what? Carnelian's insane. That's why I say that. They're great, again, because of utility. Every healer that you bring has some form of utility. So, who are the next best? Elowen and Hollow. And I talk about these two a lot, especially in my guild lately. The problem with Elowen right now is I feel like she's a close third to Hollow. Well, okay, if we really want to go with this, it would be like Carnelian, Lily, Hollow, Elowen in my like general tier list. But like it's not truly a 1, 2, 3, 4 because there are instances where all 4 of them are the wrong choice. We'll talk. My big issue with Elowen is her range. Isn't really good for the stronghold maps right now without some considerations. We'll talk about that a little bit more in my placement series where I start talking about specific units that are generally used or can be used or should be used, but also where you kind of have to set up with them. Elowen has only one spot on the map where she can really be used, and that is near the crystal at the back of the map. If you try to use her at the front, you're just going to end up hamstringing your damage, your DPS, and it's not worth it. So, for the record, for anyone watching, Elowen is an amazing healer, but if you're not in like a fortress, it's just not, it's not great. Like if you're in a, tower versus a stronghold. If you're in a tower, she only has the corner, and she's not really usable. So she's really only usable for 5 individuals in your alliance at a time. So unfortunately, I get to use her pretty easy because she has a lovely spot here near the front of the map. But does anyone else use her right now? Ah, there we go. This is an okay example. But this is the only corner she works in over here because the front of the map, where you would like to put her, she can only heal this tank from that spot, or that spot, or that spot. These two are suicide. This one needs to be your main AoE DPS if you're going to be up here. That is all. You can kind of argue for like a Nyx, put like an Araka there, put like a Silas here, maybe. But like, anyways, that's a different video. I'm on a tangent. These happen sometimes. Everyone will get used to them. So why Elowen and Hollow comes down to rage regen. Why is rage regen important? Your ultimates really are a large portion of your overall like damage in this game. Elowen does the same job, or sorry, Hollow does the same job as Elowen, but faster. And she can heal the same amount of targets while her ultimate is going, which you want up as much as possible. The thing that makes Elowen slightly better in certain circumstances comes down to positioning. Everyone has to be in Hollow's range for her to work. Elowen just does it. It just works. So it's not that bad. These two provide very consistent rage regeneration, which for certain damage, dealing, and tank, and even themselves, like as healers, it's just good to get your ultimates up as much as possible. Almost every hero in the game is insanely good when their ultimate is up. I feel like that's like the most understated phrase. Like every single hero is better with their ultimates, period. There's almost no hero in the game that I can think of that you don't want to click the ultimate as soon as you can, or as soon as it makes sense to. You could argue in certain content holding for like an inspiration buff or something would be wise, but that's beside the point. Kind of the tier below the rage regeners are the strange but wonderful utility, or really just good healers. This is going to be like Ezreal. Ezreal is exceptional because this passive can be applied by certain effects that he has. And so therefore, making it so that somebody cannot exceed 60% of their max hit points at a time. Whew. In a set of content that, generally speaking, people get one shot a lot, it really adds up. This also kind of acts like a pseudo, like, resurrection. And the reason why I say this is because if you have him in the right composition, let's say with a Cyrus, for instance, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and you have both of these kind of higher up on the skill list than even I have them, right? Let's say, I don't know, hypothetically speaking, somewhere in maxed out. He really starts to make this scary. Ezreal also ignores range, which makes him even weirder with certain abilities. We try not to use that because we don't want to reduce his healing any more than it already is. He's not the strongest individual healer. However, he does good healing. That's it. And with a Cyrus or even a Venoma, he can do a lot better because getting that Lord skill in there really does help to keep this up more. Getting that down to 500 cost based is great. Getting that down by an additional 25% really does help. So, again, utility. Don't sleep on Sadie. She actually does pretty decent healing. However, she's an AoE healer. All AoE healers suffer in guild versus guild. Elowen is not an AoE healer. I know a lot of people think that. Grants attack-based healing to 3 allies in range. These are coded as single target healing, and they heal for a lot. This is an AoE heal. Sure, it heals a lot. It's fine. But like if you want an example of like a real AoE healer, right? Like Oh no, I think she's similar to Elowen. Well, I mean, oh, there we go. Uh, Aylin's a great example. She's getting all allies in range. Stuff like that. Like, you're going to see the word all a lot. You're going to see AoE healing. They actually do specify it. This does say AoE, though. It's so weird. The kind of next tier, if I will, of kind of shout outs really is Dolores, because Dolores is on a lot of people's like guild boss rosters and stuff like that. Don't use her in guild versus guild. You're just not going to find a place for her that really makes sense. And she doesn't do enough healing to carry as a healer. If you really wanted to bring her and you had a tank like a Broke here who has like his exclusive artifact maybe, and you wanted to cheese a little bit, you could try. I just don't think that she's going to do amazing work for what you need. And then the other weird shout out is going to be actually, ironically, in the tank category. It's a character I do not have. So we're going to just pull her up here. And that is Constance. I have a love-hate relationship with Constance in this game. We're going to go over that in this video right now. My love-hate relationship with Constance is simple. First off, she's the wrong class. I love that she is a ground unit that heals. I love that she's even a defender. Kind of. But, like, she really doesn't do a lot. Like, Constance would actually be better if she could be, I don't know, a healer that's not platform, that sits on the ground. Like, if there was a way to do some of that, like, she'd be better with healer artifacts. The artifacts for tanks really don't help her all that much. Especially in a guild versus guild setting, but in general, it'd be nice. The big issue I have with Constance comes down to this. It is an inspiration buff. The big issue I have with it is, while this is up, she's not healing. She kind of just stands there and looks at people dying around her. This particular single target heal that she has does not seem to be working during her ultimate until you awaken a bit, right? Her A1 is decent. Her A3 is meh. Oh, and even her A5 doesn't really help with that. So, like, I don't know what it is that Constance is supposed to do other than watch people die every time she ults. I haven't figured it out. Maybe somebody can let me know. But every time I've seen Constance in Guild versus Guild, it's like, hey, great, there's a Constance there. I'm going to bait out the ultimate and kill the tank. I will find a video at some point, or two, or maybe even just make a montage. I'm debating a montage. I might upload it second, like why I don't like Constance in Guild versus Guild. Hot take. Crucify me now. This is also the funny part about this hot take is she's arguably like my number one most wanted hero. And mainly for Guild versus Guild, which is kind of funny. Because, like, I have an insane Arbiter team, and I'd love to have her there, but I have an insane Arbiter team because I don't want people to get to my tank to heal him. Like, I don't want people to get that far, and I'd argue that having a Constance would be better because, you know, reasons. But you can use Constance. She does exist as a tank-based healer. There's an epic one. It exists. That's all I'm going to say about it because that's all it needs to dignify as a response. It is better than nothing. However, any healer is better than that one. Deal? Deal. So, gear. What do healers need? This is a really simple one. I don't even have to look at the healer. Figure out what based healing they do. What do I mean by what based? It's going to say in that auto attack skill. Attack based or hit point based. You want that stat. and as much attack speed as humanly possible. And sprinkle in a little bit of survivability if you can. That's it. That's what you want. Ideally, an invigoration set. Yeah, because invigoration does work in Guild versus Guild. How it works is everyone's mystery. To the best of our knowledge, it is based on the order you place the units is the order that it drops invigoration. It doesn't generally seem to ever put it on a tank. So if there's a tank in range and only one other DPS, like you'll see in some of my setups, it generally almost always falls on a DPS, but which one it falls on can sometimes be a little weird, right? Because I don't know which one of these two is going to get it, but they're the only two in the range. I hope it's that one every single time, because I placed him right after her. Like I placed him, then her, then Brokir, then Praetus, and finally Ymrit, because I really don't want Ymrit to get it, but that's beside the point. We'll find out. But that is healers. Again, I wanted to just briefly go through itemization there, because I need to spend a little bit of extra time on healer artifacts. Well, and by a little bit, I mean a very tiny bit. So, all right, here comes my second hot take. I know so many people that are like, the Euphoric Orb is like the best. Where? When? Like, real talk. 30 attack speed to every to every ally in their range for 40 seconds, lasting 60 seconds, right? So it's got like whatever that is. I'm not even gonna dignify this with math. It's not good. Like 30 attack speed is only good if that 30 is going to put you over the threshold, but like 30 is just not enough to really ever do that. Like ever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, where's something that I can add 30 to real fast, right? Like, oh, maybe Praetus is a bad example for here. Do I have literally anything with an attack speed of 30? Heck, I got a great idea. I know where I can get 30 attack speed. Let's just unequip this. So right now, Praetus is at 1.5 second interval. I unequip one item. There's no attack speed. It affects no other stats. It's just breaking the set bonus. Praetus is now at 1.6. It mattered! Congratulations, the Euphoric Orb worked in this one example so far. Shall we do this again? What do you guys think is going to happen? Will the world be broken by this most amazing of artifacts? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. Oh wait, sorry. Wrong set of jokes. Okay, 202. 1.2. Ready? Break. And 1.3. It mattered! Congratulations! Woo! Where does this matter? It matters at the lower end. So if you're not building attack speed on characters, it's not the worst. But if you are building attack speed on, characters like it religiously, where's a good example of this? I'll just pick on Ingrid. I could see it kind of mattering, but like when you start talking about, upper 600s for attack speed, dropping even, 110, right? So I lost 110 attack speed. We're at 1.5 seconds right now. If I add that item back in, so again, we're gaining 110. We're at 1.4. So just keep in mind breakpoints. If you have a roster full of very low speed heroes, it's not that bad. In every other instance, though, there are better options. The best, in my humble opinion, is the Golden Scarab, because rage regen is very, 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 very important, even for an Elowen. Because her ultimate isn't insignificant, and especially with Awakenings. Because if you have her A1, her ultimate is very significant. So, just as a heads up, my PSA for everyone on this video is the Euphoric Orb isn't special. But yeah, Golden Scarab, amazing. Elysian Epitaph, I can say that right, is also amazing. By comparison to the Euphoric Orb, in more settings. Now, niche case, you manage to get everyone in the healer's range, and it's all low speed build, Euphoric Orb's fine. Deal? Deal. But that is artifacts for healers. Again, I wanted to spend a little extra time on that, because it's not as cut and dry as some of the other classes. So, next video is on DPS. DPS has a very big asterisk. There's a lot of different kinds of DPS. I'm going to break them out into different roles, but they're not the same as the roles in this. So you're going to want to watch the video to truly understand who's doing what. So if you want to catch that video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, because a lot of the times you will not see my content without it. And if you do like this video, that would really help me out. If you want to leave a comment, fantastic. I will try to get to comments as fast as possible. I do have 3 children. It takes a bit, but I will try to get to as many comments as I can, and especially now that I'm a little bit more active again, because finals have finally gotten through, and I'm done with college for a little bit. I'm on a small break. So I have a little bit more time right now, a little more than usual. So, as always, I appreciate your guys' time, and I will see you